Oh. Hello there. Welcome back to Classics World. It looks like I'm the first person here, but today we are doing our annual company road trip. I get to open, so this is my BMW 323i from 1983, and I guess we've got some waiting around to do until the next person gets here. Let's see what they bring. Sounds like our first companion showing up, and it is the one and only Joe Miller. He's in his bright yellow Yobmobile, i.e. the Fiat Seicento. Hello, lovely.
Morning, morning.
What have you brought for us today?
Well, you'd have to be daft to turn up in a German 80s car. Not that I own one of those. So I thought I'd bring a bit of contrast. This is my other car, my Fiat Seicento Sporting.
Very nice indeed. Looks like you've done a few bits and bobs to it as well.
It's not entirely standard. You might have heard it's a little bit raughty. It's got
a little bit raughty.
It's got the ASBO can, of course.
How old are you again?
Yeah, mentally I'm 6. And as you can tell by the ASBO can, because the reason why I own the comfortable Mercedes is because this is so hard and noisy. It's got almost no exhaust to speak of. It's got no back seats. It does have something in there. It's basically a bona fide race car. It's even been to the Nürburgring.
Wow, that's further than mine's been. I mean, mine may have come from Munich, but it's not been back to Germany since.
Well, there you go, so I'm ahead. It may not be a traditional classic, and I know a lot of people won't like it and won't get it, but I absolutely adore it. And it means more to me than it does to anyone else. And that's why it's here.
You've come pretty far as well. I bet that was a lovely little short wheelbase ride on the motorway.
Yeah, really comfortable, yeah.
Yeah? All right, well, I guess that's enough said. I wonder who's going to show up next.
Well, hopefully something refined and comfortable.
We shall surely see.
Hello, you right? Sure. Once again, I emerged from the wrong side of a car.
I see.
the infamous import Fiesta in the flesh. So
yeah.
You've had a long, arduous journey to get to where we are today.
Yeah, I think it's about 3 miles.
3 miles, that's, that's a long one.
This is really skewed towards you, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, but then again, I have the oldest car so far, it seems.
Very true,
and no aircon, and, you know, it might overheat.
It might.
That's fine, that's the risk we can take.
But it got your hill, right?
Yeah.
It's good, mate, honestly, I've seen this in the flesh here. It looks quite straight.
To be fair, it got me back from France, and not just anywhere in France, the south of France.
I can see the little Monaco stick on it. Yeah, well, obviously this has done a lap of the Grand Prix circuit, I gather.
It did some of the Grand Prix circuit. I kind of took some wrong turns, but you know,
it's a bona fide
all right.
race car. It's got racing stripes, it's BMW Monaco. It's basically a Formula 1 car.
Basically, yes.
No, I love it. Very cool indeed.
Very cool. Well, who are we missing so far?
We need some more refinement, I think.
Some more refinement.
Presenters and cars. Mr. Whedon, the estate agent, is here. Possibly a very well-paid air hostess. Good.
It looks extremely clean, except from one very small detail.
And you notice it's only got one exhaust, meaning it's a 180 and not a 225.
Your departure points for the vehicle are here, here, and here. Mr. Whedon, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Almost got on the grass there.
There we are. With your class for a rally car.
We asked for refinement in the car, and we got that. Refinement in presenter, we'll see in a sec.
Yeah,
but,
doubtful.
It's a very lovely little thing. Have you just had it cleaned?
Yeah, you've not cleaned that.
No, you haven't cleaned this.
First time it's been cleaned in
2 years, 3 years?
Fact, they forget the exhaust then.
Yes.
I want to be mean, but actually this looks spectacular.
It
does. It looks very clean indeed.
It's what's called honest condition.
We were just saying how well it's aged.
I think it's a modern classic in the making, right?
I think this car defines modern classic.
And it's stick. I do love the look of those shifters. They are very nice indeed.
This is cool. It's classy.
Lovely bit of billet.
I'm just for the sake of some slight jealousy, do I spy an aircon button?
There is air conditioning.
Does it work?
Yeah.
It does work.
If it makes you feel any better, I've got a rock hard suspension.
Suspension?
I've got that as well.
And you've got black leather and no aircon.
I have.
I think you put that on your Tinder profile, didn't you? But,
Oh dear.
Good
Anyway.
Lord. Right, well, turns out we've got class in car, class in presenter. What did I say?
there we are. Actually, we've got a nice little blend here already, really. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what Paul turns up.
That's the only question mark is Mr. Wager.
And
Here we go.
there we go.
here he is. He's got a very clean looking.
Why has it got
British
Racing
editor of
Green
Modern
Mini
Mini
One?
that Paul Wager was? I would
Yeah.
expect nothing less.
Why has it got trade plates in it? The trade plates are telling us a story here, aren't they?
Yes.
Morning, morning.
Good morning, sir.
This is very clean.
This is very
It is
clean
very
indeed.
clean, isn't it?
One
What we've got here is a Mini One, freshly plucked from the auctions this morning.
This morning.
Yeah, well, I was going to bring my Honda S2000, but I brought that down last year, didn't I? And I thought I'd bring something a bit more interesting, and here we are.
Interesting
Well, yeah.
is the word.
The trade plates are a bit of a giveaway, as is all the writing on it.
So dare I ask, how much?
I bid 300 on this to win it.
300?
In a trade auction, yeah. So with fees, it stands me less than 500.
Less than 500 quid?
It's still got the dealer plates on it.
It's still got the dealer plates on it,
Yeah.
and it's absolutely, all things considered, pretty mint. Especially for 300 quid. You can flip this tomorrow and make a profit.
And-
Yeah, that's all right, isn't it? Yeah, I'd forgotten how much fun these are to drive, actually.
Yeah, well, everyone raves about the Cooper and the Cooper S in particular with its supercharger wine, but actually a base spec one.
Yeah, compared to the later models, these are the R56 even, these are really involving to drive. Real go-kart feel to them.
So with all of us having arrived, we decided it was time to hit the road. That is until our, or rather my, first problem arose.
So what is by far the coolest and most stylish and most valuable car here is the first one to have a fault, sadly. We were just about to do a glamorous pulling away shot and the E30 has decided no go.
It's the first time
It's all right, because I was at the auctions this morning and you don't go anywhere without one of these. So.
I'm hoping it is a...
Well, he's going to plug it in, there you go. I'll plug it into my cigarette lighter and we'll charge it up.
So, Paul came to the rescue with the handy jump pack he'd brought to the auction that morning. With the E30 up and running and our first crisis averted, we finally saddled up and followed the MK1 Fiesta out of the car park and onto the open road.
So once again, for one of these road trips, I find myself sitting on the wrong side of the car, a bit like with my R50 Mini last year. And the car I'm driving is a MK1 Fiesta, which I have owned since the end of February. Now, you may have seen a couple of videos on it before, but for those who haven't, I'll recount the story quickly. I found a link online to a French classified site, Le Bon Coin, and just thought it would be really good to have a MK1. So I found a link for a nice early car, sent it to my friend Alex, who lives in mid-France, about 8 hours away from where the car was located, which was near Nice in the south. So our plan was sort of starting to come together. It all happened. The seller met me in a random car park in his little town. Basically the nicest guy ever. Bought me a coffee, had put 2 new front tyres, did a little bit of sightseeing in Monaco and then drove it back to the UK over the following 3 days. Now this particular Fiesta appealed to me because it was an S. Now the S is no quicker than the standard 1.1, but you do get the cool Carla fabric seats, stripes down the side, black bumpers, black surrounds around the side windows and things like that. So just nice little touches, nice and sporty. It's kind of the one I've always looked at when wanting a Capri, for example. I'd always want a 2 litre or a 3 litre S. I mean, it was a little bit more careworn than I perhaps would have liked, but it was just so honest. On the odometer, it said 26,000 kilometres. And we just assumed, naturally, that it had been round more than once. Back in 1995, it had only done 11,000 kilometres. And the little Kent engine certainly feels like that. You kind of think of old Kent crossflows as being a bit clattery, but the Valencia variant under the front of this is just really nice. Yes, I've got to have it left-hand drive. I did consider converting it, but this car is just so original that I don't think I will. And I'm used to left-hand drive anyway from the R50 Mini, so I don't think it's a problem. But other than that, it's just been a case of sort of touching in a few bits, cleaning it up, and driving it.
So, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you my pride and joy. This is my 1983 E30 323i. I have owned this car for coming up on about 9 months now, so it's still relatively new to me. But I bought it when I moved back to London. I was looking for something that was ULEZ compliant. So in my language, that means something that is more than 40 years old. And I was looking at E21s, which were made up until 1981 or 1982. And I'd found one, went to try and look at it, but I couldn't get it off the guy's drive. it had a dead clutch master cylinder, so I thought if I can't test drive this, then I can't buy it and I can't take it home, and I gave up. Not too long afterwards, this came up for sale on Car and Classic. It was in Tamworth. It was a little expensive for what I was looking for, but I thought I'll go and have a look anyway because, you know, what harm could it do? This particular example, when I bought it, had 62,000 miles on the clock, and it's a 1983, which means this was one of the first to come out in this country. I bought it in 2023, and hence it was compliant. Now the 323i in the E21 was still direct injected, same as this, but for the E30, all they did was bring the same engine over and upgrade it to some Bosch direct injection. Now, the only changes that have been made to this car, it's almost entirely stock, completely stock leather interior, original paint, uncracked dash. The only change is the exhaust and some Bilstein dampers. Now, I found these Bilsteins are lovely. They offer a really tight ride while also maintaining a bit of comfort, and it's a great balance between the two. It's a very slight lowering, which I think looks great, especially on these 14x6 bottle caps and chunky sidewall tyres. But that exhaust is equal length headers, and it's a little bit rowdy, especially for a car this slow. But it is a glorious sound, but probably not the ideal choice on a car with only 150 horsepower. But yeah, I don't want to get rid of this car, even though I am too scared to do any sort of modification to it because it's such a low mileage and such a clean car. But I love it to pieces.
That was until it threw its toys out, citing electrical troubles once again. The car wouldn't rev past 4,500 RPM under load, and it was clear that something with the charge system just was not right.
So we've just stopped for a very glamorous shopping trip. Lucas has had it with his E30 battery, so he's on a parts supplier we won't name because we're not sponsored, ordering a battery. And Paul has bought some extremely manly accessories for his new Mini.
It's 98% acetone, Joe. I've spilt it on my hands with God. What are you doing?
Nail polish remover to remove his genuine race writing.
Yeah, also, I can't see out the mirror because British Car Auctions stick a sticker on the window in gummy glue. So.
The glamour of auction cars, eh?
So we went and fetched a new battery before driving on and waiting for the inevitable.
So here we are in my Mini One, which is the R50 generation, the first of the new Minis to be made under BMW. This is, being the One, it's the 90 horsepower engine instead of the 115 of the Cooper, but they're actually identical other than the engine mapping. I personally don't have a lot of history with this car like the other guys do. I picked it up this morning and I've owned it for just under 2 hours. I bought it for my daughter to learn to drive it. She's 17 soon. I wanted a modern car, you know, that has good standards of crash safety, is easy to drive, and, you know, still looks stylish. And I reckon these R50 Minis fit the bill. You know, they still look smart. I think the proportions are nicer than the later model, the R56. They're affordable too. Parts are pretty cheap. I mean, they sold so many of them that, you know, there are parts all over the place for them. This one doesn't seem to want for much. As you can see, I don't think the aircon blows particularly cold, although it just probably needs a regas actually. The aircon's quite a rare option on the One. This one's got alloy wheels as well, which is a nice thing. So it just looks that little bit more at market. But I've driven it about 20 miles so far in my ownership, and nothing's broken or fallen off. So yeah, looking good so far, isn't it? We'll see at the end of the day whether anything else has broken or fallen off. So it may not have the performance of the Audi, the cult appeal of the Fiesta, the sheer quirkiness of Joe's Fiat, or the classic appeal of Lucas BMW, but I don't know. I still think these early new Minis are a really significant car, and if you're going to buy one, to be honest, a 2005 one is better than a 2001.
So we've done another half an hour, 40 minutes. I think the battery in the E30 has completely had it.
Thank you, Joe, for the commentary.
It's no longer okay. The mighty BMW tailgate.
Let's go!
He has the 10 mil.
I have the mythical 10 mil.
10 and 13.
Sweet Mama Llama. Let's go.
Undo the thing.
Undo the thing. New Lion. Fresh Lion.
Fresh line from car parts place unnamed because we're not sponsored.
Right, let's make sure that leads out the way, shall we?
Pop it in.
Pop it in. Where's my red?
Okay, you got the key, you got
Right.
a secret.
Let's find out.
Dated reference, I know.
Yeah, right.
Our audience get it. Hey! The BMW lives!
Oh, it's a bit noisy.
So we were back on the road once more and continued to reflect on how our cars had treated us on the journey thus far.
So here we are in my 2003 Audi TT, the 180 PS model with Quattro. I bought it in February 2020 before a certain global pandemic shut the world down for a few months. So I dutifully drove it home from a rather less than salubrious car trader in Slough at the cost of £1,800, parked it on my drive, and there it stayed for a few months. In 2022, I decided to take the plunge and get a few things fixed with it, because it wasn't a perfect example when I bought it. So a typical Audi TT thing is that the digital dash pack starts to pixelate, and you can send those away to get refurbished. So I went to a reputable, or supposedly reputable, local VW specialist, who very kindly took the car in, gave it a full service, ran it through an MOT, and sent the dash pack off for its refurbishment. And it failed the MOT on some corroded brake lines, I think it was, at the back. So we had those fitted, and we were back on the road. The trouble was, this reputable specialist took 4 months to get that work done, so I didn't get to use it very often throughout the summer of 2022. And then in 2023, I bit the bullet further and spent even more money on it, £2,000 to be precise, because I paid to have the cam belt done and the requisite water pump as well. I had the alloy wheels refurbished, and what else did I get done? New tyres, new brakes, a few bits and pieces really. And but yeah, it was worth it. It was good. It was good to do. And otherwise, it's been pretty flawless. I've had a couple of little niggles beside that. A fuse went, which blew the climate control. Yes, there's all these classic car owners with 70s and 80s cars going, yeah, we'll just do without climate control. I'm sure Jeff's Fiesta hasn't got climate control. But anyway, I got the climate control fixed. A coil pack went. It's quite a common thing apparently. And yeah, of course it leads the car to run lumpy, and you get an engine warning light and all that kind of stuff. And then the drive shaft sheared on the way back from Telford one day, which left me stranded just outside Birmingham, which was suboptimal to say the least. But apart from that, it has been a pretty faultless ownership experience for a car that cost me less than £2,000. There was much speculation about what TT even stood for. The obvious reference is to the Tourist Trophy, the famous motor race that a fellow auto union brand, NSU, used to compete in. For me, TT, I think it stands for tough and timeless. Let's put the air conditioning on. Lovely.
Now you might be wondering, what on earth is this doing here? Well, this is my 2003 Fiat Seicento Sporting, and quite apart from being just an old car, this means more to me than pretty much any other car. For a start, it was my first car, and that counts for a lot. My parents helped me buy it when I was 17, and I used it for everything. I went to college in it, I went to my first job in it, I picked up my first girlfriend in this car, and I would like to think it was because of the car as well. And I did everything with it. I even learned to drive in it and passed my test in it. So immediately, this car was in my good books. And after some time bonding with it and just having fun with it, because even in its standard form, a Seicento Sporting is a great fun little car. It's light and fizzy, it's got that Italian character where you ping it off the rev limiter, watch the valves put little dents in the bonnet, and then look down and you're doing 25. And then after a while, after I'd bonded with it and we'd been on a few road trips and adventures together, I decided to start modifying it. And it started small. I spray painted the wheels, I put remote central locking in it, put that little vinyl bonnet stripe on it, and gradually it evolved. I put coilover suspension in. Then I put a bigger 1.2 litre Punto engine in. Yes, that is a big block engine in this car. Even put a slightly yobbo exhaust on it, as you can probably hear. From there, the story continued. I heard about a few day long festival in Poland where these cars were actually built in an appropriately named town called Tychy car. And I decided I wanted to go to it. So I drove on my own, because the people who were supposed to go with me dropped out, a freshly engine swapped tiny little shoebox of a car 1,000 miles across Europe. Drove to Poland and had the time of my life with some of the most incredible cars I've ever seen and some of the nicest people I've ever met. On the way back, feeling inspired to come and do more to my car, it ended badly. I was at a junction in Germany, a little bit too far over the line. A lorry came past and wiped the front end of my car out, and it was ruined. Bent the chassis legs, knackered. I had to fly home and get the car trailered back. So I found the straightest, cleanest, rot-free shell I could and spent a summer and a bit of a winter with my dad effectively reshelling the car. We moved over as many panels as we could, the whole interior, the engine, suspension, the wheels, everything, and brought my car back from the dead. And from there, the story has continued. My dad and I worked together and resprayed this car, prepping it at his workshop, then him and a mate fully repainted it. I've taken this car to the Nürburgring and done multiple laps with it. I took it back to Poland the following year and saw all the people I met the first time who were so relieved to see me in the car okay. I've been on countless road trips, made endless memories with this car, and whatever has changed in my life, no matter where I've lived, what job I've done, what girlfriend I've had, and what high or low has been going on in my life, this car, since I was 17, has been the one constant. And as a result, I've formed a fantastic bond with it. This car is my little buddy. It's the car that makes me smile. Yeah, it's got stiff polybush suspension and that really raughty exhaust, and because I've taken the back seats out and built that rear seat delete plate panel in the back, you can't put people in it, so it's not really a practical people mover anymore either. What it is a fun machine. I find a winding country road on a Sunday and I put a smile on my face.
So, after a good few hours of navigating along glorious British B-roads, the picturesque winding lanes along the Jurassic Coast signalled our adventure was drawing to a close. With the sea in sight, we pulled in to take in the view and talk about the day's struggles and successes.
Hold up. So that was a very pretty drive, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Stunning. Common courtesy, sir. Well done.
I tried, you know.
Yeah,
I
sorry about
had
this.
to remember that Jeff was getting out the left side. I almost said wrong side, but
You should have just bought a right-hand drive one, Jeff.
So to be fair, I've said wrong side quite a lot of times. And I actually prefer sitting on that side of the car, and I know that's a bit controversial, but there you go. Fine.
But no, absolutely loved it. I mean, you have to doff your cap to the Fiesta over that road. By far the least powerful car here. Just aced it.
To be honest, after my timing troubles, he did a better job climbing half of the hills. So fair enough to you.
On the back, it has got discs on the front, but no servo, and well, there's something I need to probably have a little service of at some point.
So look, the question I want to ask everyone, if you couldn't take your own car, which one of our 5 beauties would you all take home? Why don't you start with you, Joe? Come on.
It's tough. To do what we've just done, the Audi is the best car. Let's be clear about this. It is the best car here.
Oh, yeah.
But to do what we've done, nice drive through the countryside, for the excitement, the sensations, the feeling good, and look, I've done that. Right, I might go again, just for the fun of it. E30.
Thank you.
I know it's had its problems, German reliability, but it looks amazing. Even when it's not running right, it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And I have not complained at having that thing in front of me all day. Absolutely loved it. So there you go. I will, my fellow 80s German car owner, I doff my cap to you, sir.
Thank you
What
kindly.
about
good
you,
sir.
Jeff?
I think they've all impressed in their own little ways.
You're going to be very diplomatic now.
I'm going to be very diplomatic. E30.
I hate you sitting on the fence like that.
No, I mean it's got that 6-cylinder sound to it. It looks great on the road.
Looks great. Parks
You
up
know,
while he's changing
like,
the battery.
I mean, yeah, but yes, it's probably the most expensive car here, but I think it's worth the money. I think my Fiesta's done really well, but yeah, it's got to be the E30 for me.
I think out of, I think what I like is first of all the variety. We've got
A lot of variety.
an
Say that
Italian
again.
pocket rocket.
I think we've got 3 German cars here, really, haven't we?
Well,
I think you'll find that was made in Cowley.
Ooh, all right.
yes, it was, yeah.
Someone's already said it in the
Oxfordshire born
comments.
and bred. But yeah, I like the variety. But ostensibly, the two proper classics is your Fiesta and obviously your BMW E30. But anyway, I'm waffling because I'm just getting to the point that I think, like you two, I agree that Lucas's E30 BMW, the fact that it's an early one, chrome bumper, 323, 6-cylinder,
My chromie.
it's just delicious. And I had an E30, but a slightly later one, and only a 316, but I still love that, and it brings back memories of that one. So what about you, Paul?
Well, I think I love the E30, but I've had one. I had a 325 Touring myself, so it'd be like going back for me. So yeah, I mean, you know, I would agree with you, but I've already been there and done that. I mean, the Fiat, I'm sorry, I'm about 30 years too old to be seen in it. The Audi I still think of as being a modern car, the sort of thing I would buy and use every day. And I really like that Fiesta, and the fact that it's left-hand drive. And I keep telling Jeff, don't convert it to right-hand drive, don't modify it. Yeah. I just think it has a lovely sort of image of, it makes me feel like I'm on holiday in the south of France.
It's
somewhere.
charming.
In fact, I think if I drove that, I want to drive it all the way back to Nice, where it came from, and just sit there in the sun. So yeah, I think the Fiesta, just for its oddity and its sheer patina, and it's one of those cars like you see them in the south of France. They haven't gone rusty, but they've just sort of weathered to sort of cardboard colour, and they're sat there and they're still in daily use. So yeah, I think the Fiesta.
It is a charming thing, I have to say. Hats off to Jeff for picking
cardboard
that
Fiesta.
up.
Yeah, cardboard Fiesta.
Yeah, Lucas.
Well, you say you might be too old to pull that Seicento off, and I think I might just have a couple years left. So I might just have to go for that. I think it was probably the most fun to drive today. I mean, granted, mine was fun and loud and silly. Very silly, considering we ended up having to change the battery at a McDonald's, which wasn't very fun. So I think I might have to go for the Seicento. And having said that, I don't think I'd be able to pull it off if I took it back home. So for the purposes of a road trip, yes. For a purpose of a life car, perhaps not. But
You know
still,
what?
looks like a lot of fun.
I will take that. Fair play. Thank you, sir.
So there we go.
There you go.
Good doing business with you.
He's not bought it.
No. That's no. 20 grand, it's yours.
Yeah, 20 grand.
Yeah,
That's
so there's
not
one
all.
vote for the Fiat, one vote for the Fiesta, and then
No votes for the not a proper Mini.
well, or indeed the Audi to some extent. So
Like I say, but their time, you're right, their time will come. And
they will.
I have to say, you've absolutely stolen that.
Oh, God.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Let's be honest. For the charm of the cars that have got the votes, the one that will actually be the nicest to get in, drive home, regardless of what the weather or what the conditions are,
Open and
will
shut.
be the Audi. Because it will be comfortable, refined, economical, the aircon works, as you keep mentioning.
Yeah.
It will be the nicest one to drive home in.
Everyone will have their own view about which one they would take home. So
Maybe that's the answer. There isn't a winner, necessarily.
no.
Well, in the classics world, there rarely is. So,
I love that.
There we go. That's a good way to end.
so with that, I think it's time to end.
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us on what has been a wonderful trip on the first couple of actual beautiful days in longer than I care to remember.
Yes.
So thank you all for joining me and, well,
Pleasure.
pleasure, of course. And thank you, dear viewer, for watching. Hope to see you very soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again. Cheers.
Ta-ra.
Let's.
Let's do it. Nice work, chaps.